What is up? Welcome back to Softcore History. I am your host for the week, Rob Fox, joined as always by Dan Regester and one of our favorite, maybe our favorite recurring guest. Hard to say. It's between Jack Mandeville and two Latinos. Scott Lopez is here today.
Why do you guys have multiple Latinos?
Well, one's a Latina, but...
Yeah, that makes sense. Diversify, multiply, divide.
Yeah. In Texas, man, you're here.
Fuck, dude, we're everywhere.
You're here.
Why?
Every time we have a guest, too, he just skips right over me talking. Goes right to the guest.
They're our guest.
I know.
They're special.
Yeah. Okay, sorry,
Allow me
dude.
to get my intro.
What's up, Dan? What you feeling today?
Nah, I'm good, bro.
Well said.
Scott's here in a tactical wizard hat.
Yeah. I got to mix it up. My normal outfit is in my buddy's truck. So next time I'm on, hopefully I see him again. Also, my salsa is in his truck. It's probably bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent $40 on salsa.
It's fucked. If it's in his truck.
I'm hoping he put it back in his fridge because he told me he did.
It's been cooked.
Cactus salsa, pickle salsa, and then tropical Hawaiian salsa.
Don't like any of those. Those all sound bad. And I'm a salsa boy.
You're insane. It's white people salsa, tropical salsa.
Yeah, fuck that. I want heat. I want a burn.
They're heat.
Mouth through fucking butthole.
There is
Absolute
hot
fire.
in these.
Yeah.
Now, do you think Merlin had tactical camo?
Merlin definitely did because he survived a long time, and you don't do that wearing flashy colors, I think.
No, you don't want to glitter in the field.
Yeah, there's like a couple times like, hey, you're fighting a dragon, glitter up. That dragon will see you no matter what.
Yeah.
Do you think Harry Potter's invisible cloak was actually just camo?
It sounds like it would be.
Literally camo.
Yeah.
It's camouflage. It camouflages.
It's not invisible.
What?
No, it's just camo pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just blends in with the
You're like,
environment
holy
really
shit, where'd
good.
Harry go?
It's not, yeah, well, there was no actual invisibility to it at all.
No.
It was just jungle patterned.
He got it from a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
It's a poncho, actually.
They have the best
People don't
there.
realize this.
They have their own camo patterns at Bass Pro.
I believe it.
It's amazing.
I mean, why would you take someone else's?
It's a fun place.
Yeah, I love Bass Pro Shops. Wonderful. We want to take the kids there so they can look at fish.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Just run around
taxidermy items and
Yeah.
get them a BB gun or a bow and arrow.
Probably a live, like a real bow and arrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Live rounds type of situation.
Yeah, they make children's ones.
Sharp.
Yeah.
Good. That's what I want.
I had to use a children's bow once to defend my friend's property when I was like 10.
From what?
Well, it turned out to be nothing, but his front door was open, and we were like, oh, no, the door's open. And hanging just inside the front door was like a bow from essentially Walmart, like a 10-pound draw. And I just picked it up and
But
walked.
with like real arrows?
Yeah, and I walked through his house
Yeah, dude,
with this bow.
You cleared his house with the bow and arrow
Yeah,
as a 10-year-old?
thinking someone was like in there.
It's
And
a miracle.
It was probably the Russians. It was a Red Dawn situation.
they just like, there was no one there.
It was a
The
miracle
door was just
like
open.
a parent didn't get an arrow to the stomach.
Yeah, parents weren't there luckily as well because they would have definitely at that time gotten an arrow somewhere.
It was on site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I saw movement, I'm shooting.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
letting loose.
As
dude.
you should, though,
Yeah.
You're just defending the homeland.
But that was really fun.
Well, not his homeland.
America, his homeland.
He was an expeditionary force into someone else's home.
No, it was my homeland because I found out recently that I'm some sort of Native American.
Yeah, what are you, Mexican?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of you are.
I didn't know that until like 3 months ago.
It is a mixture. That is literally what a Mexican is.
Why
Yeah.
would I know that?
Because you are one.
I'm half.
That's enough.
Yeah, but I don't talk to the Mexicans.
Yeah, fair enough. We had a Latina coworker, actually Gabby's sister, be one time like, "Yeah, I'm of Spanish descent," and I was like, "You have so much Native American blood in you. Like you're Mexican. You have so." She's like, "I don't think I do." I'm like, "I know you do. I know based on nothing but what you look like and where you say you're from. You have Native American blood in you."
Dude, I mean, once I found out, I do take a liking to turquoise and rocks and the wind. I think my ancestors are finally talking to me.
Does the
now.
wind speak to you?
Dude,
Do you have a gecko tattoo?
a gecko? No. I have an arrow. So that's native.
Yeah.
That's kind of like white girl in Austin.
Yeah, you need to get like Mexican native, like one of those stone like club swords that Aztecs had.
Oh, those are cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right down the fucking. Do you have one on this forearm? Anything
No,
on this forearm?
nothing over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what you need to. That's what you need to get.
Just go full native.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or actually extend out the Buc-ee's tattoo to where the beaver is holding it.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Because it combines both your Texan and Mexican heritage.
Texicans, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, Rob, this intro's really been so much anarchy.
It has. And we're talking anarchy today because I feel like Scott is one of our most anarchical, is that a word? Guests. You know what I mean?
We'll allow it.
Just lives a free life.
Yeah.
Also, you're welcome for that alley-oop.
Yeah,
I knew the
thank you.
topic beforehand.
Thank you.
For once.
You did know the topic beforehand because I mentioned it. Scott asked. Usually I don't like to tell people, but it was like 5 minutes before, so that's good enough. Today, we are talking one of the most influential anarchists of the Gilded Age. Anarchism was essentially like socialism or communism before socialism and communism got hot, which means like the thing every insufferable leftist was into in the like 1860s to 1910s.
Yep,
you
that
could
makes
call it.
sense.
Yeah. This was like textbook annoying leftist Antifa, went to college and learned too much, but none of it is useful type of political belief.
What happened in like your day-to-day life? Because you're kind of on this anarchist kick. We did an episode on the Patreon, patreon.com/softcorehistory. You're just really into it right now. You reading a book? Was there a TV series?
Certainly not reading
Any
a-
inspiration?
The
Just
only-
having kids?
The
Certainly
only thing
not
less
reading.
likely than me reading a book right now is me watching a TV show somehow because I just don't have time for any of it. No, I've always been fascinated by anarchists because they are like such a good modern or such a good historical comp to modern, like one sect of a not modern, like annoying political factions. And it just really ties into our show's mantra of shit don't change, because almost everything you'll hear from this episode after we get through Emma's childhood, which very much shit has changed there, but like once you get into like her political beliefs and like the things she says and the way she cops out, you'll be like, oh, this sounds like anyone. For example, the other day, the Democratic Socialists, and by the way, this is not a right-wing podcast, but I do like to dunk on leftists and crazy right-wing
I don't think
people
anyone assumes this is a right-wing
I know,
podcast.
I understand that. I understand that. But the other day, the Democratic Socialists of America were like, free the guy who killed those 2 Jewish people outside the embassy because he did nothing wrong because Israel's bad.
Yeah, I heard he was like, they're like, do you need a water? Need a sandwich or something?
Yeah, and he was like, who do you think did it? And they're like, I don't know. And then he pulled out a keifa and goes, I did it. Like, literally. We're like, sweet, dude. Sweet Christopher Nolan reveal. You were the bad guy the whole time.
I think there was like a 2-man chant going.
What, him?
Absolute scenes.
Mhm.
Who do you like more, the anarchists from the 1800s or like the Antifa leftists now?
Well, the anarchists killed a lot more people. A lot more people. We did a
All
whole
right.
episode on the Patreon. If you like this episode, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/softcorehistory. We did an episode on all the bodies they got.
Oh, shit.
And
A lot of bombings.
They killed a ton of people. There were 2, like, Oklahoma City level, there were 2 major terrorist attacks that they did just in the United States that you've never heard of. The Wall
Okay.
Street bombing was huge. And they also killed like 6 or 7 major national leaders over like a 20-year period, including U.S. President William McKinley.
All right. I didn't know any of that.
Also,
Yeah.
huge mea culpa on your part. You forgot to mention one of the bombers, super hot.
What?
He was a hot anarchist.
If you're a hot guy from history, I actually saw a random photo the other day of like a random guy, and I was like, that's a time traveler. There's no way anyone could have been that hot back then.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I mean, there's definitely hot.
But also the press would
Antifa
just eat it
members
up
and stuff.
nowadays. Like,
I think they ate it up then, too. I mean,
That too.
In your sniper episode on Patreon, how they were just constantly like, all right, Miss Russian girl, you've killed a lot of Nazis, but why are you so ugly?
Your face has a hole in it from shrapnel.
You're not an attractive woman. Put on some makeup, doll. I'd want to be shot too looking at you. I understand why those Germans walked in front of your site. So I think that might always be the case.
yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about Emma Goldman, who I'll give you my hypothesis on her from the top, which is her life growing up was orderless and full of anarchy in a way that I think she just turned around and felt everyone should live as shitty of a life as I did. I feel like that was like the deep subconscious motivation.
Isn't that everyone's motivation nowadays too?
What?
I'm miserable. You should be too.
Yes. Kinda.
Shit don't change.
Shit don't change. But I'm happy, and you should be happy. Now, I wasn't happy when I got here. I was very tired, but I'm like a beer and a half in now, and I'm fucking Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I feel great.
Doesn't take much to get out of the house, have a beer.
Oh, boy.
The tune changes.
Man.
I don't want to say I know what emancipation feels like, but I have an inkling. Anyway, Emma Goldman.
Great.
I mean, I could have just went with like last day of school. But you went emancipation. Okay.
Yeah, I would. I'm giddy now. I'm feeling as good as I felt all day. I've been hungover from a melatonin, and it's just been horrible.
Do you think some of those slaves, though, that weren't grinders were like, fuck, this is on me now?
Right.
Look,
I'm a sharecropper now.
A lot of human beings were enslaved, and it would not surprise me if some small section of them felt like, no, I had it pretty good. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I got to find my own house
There's
now.
so fucking many of them. Like it's such a large sample size that you're going to get all outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean they were right. I'm just saying you're going to get all outcomes from like 10 million people or whatever it was. So Emma
I'm
Goldman.
just happy the pastiest guy here said that.
Yeah. The white. I've never even seen a field with my eyes.
Me and Lopez look like we just got off the fucking the land.
You can tell who has who has high class blood running through their veins, and who doesn't.
I have native blood,
So I'm
okay?
gonna say- yeah, I said it. I said that right.
You can't listen to the trees like I can.
Trees don't say anything.
Not with that attitude, my
Yeah.
friend.
Oh boy, that must be bad too. If you were like some conquistador was like, you're like the trees are talking to you, and he's like, "Cut that down. I need to build a cabin." You're like, "No." You're
Yeah,
just
the,
like,
the
"I'm
trees
sorry.
have PTSD,
I'm
brother.
sorry. You have PTSD. You're murdering trees. Every tree to a Native American is the giving tree.
Yeah.
They're all like, "Hey,
Yeah.
what can I give you today?" And a conquistador who can't hear them's like, "Cut them down." And you're just crying like, sorry. So Emma Goldman was born into an Orthodox Jewish family in Lithuania, which was then in the Russian Empire. Her mom, Taub, I don't know. She actually got married at 15 to a different man than her father, Emma's father. She had 2 daughters with that guy, but her first husband died of tuberculosis, and Taub was devastated.
Say
by
it different every time.
Taub.
No, I think you should just go with a different pronunciation every time.
So-
Toby, Tom.
Toby was devastated. Goldman later wrote, and I feel bad doing this episode almost because it's really scratching the surface. She wrote a 2-part autobiography. She wrote several other books about her life, like in different places. This is a full, like, softcore history scratch the surface episode. I mean, you can go deep into this woman's life. It's actually quite fascinating, even though I think she kind of sucks. Goldman wrote, "Whatever love my mother had died with the young man to whom she had been married at the age of 15. Now,
Hell yeah.
remember I said that Goldman was not the daughter of the first man. So Goldman was born into a loveless family because her mom remarried to a guy she wasn't really that into. Her family set it up. His name was Abraham Goldman, and he was not good at anything.
Dude, love was invented in the 50s by Hallmark to sell cards.
That's not true, and I will counter your argument with one of your own episodes. Do you remember that Roman emperor who had sex with babies?
Yes.
Now, this is going somewhere. It doesn't have anything to do with the babies, really, except that he did have
Tiberius.
sex with them. Tiberius was driven insane by the fact that Augustus made him leave the woman he loved.
I think that might have been an excuse for having little fishes.
This emperor he would go into nursing moms' huts or whatever and be like, "Give me your baby." And they'd be like, "Why?" And he'd take his wiener out and have them nurse that.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by...
Hey, he was sad, and that's what made him happy.
If
man.
you're hungry for a little fish...
Just proceed with your topic, dude. I'm cutting this all out.
Don't! No! No! Abraham, the main theme in his life is abject failure. So again, I kind of get where Goldman hates society and doesn't really like anything because her home life sucks and her dad can't get a single business off the ground, and God, he tried. He took all of Toby's inheritance from her first marriage when her husband died, invested it in a business. That business immediately failed, and all the money was lost. So Abraham, being, a failure in that and then multiple other businesses, is like, oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to get my wife pregnant, and I really hope I have a son, because if I have a daughter, it's more proof that I'm a failure.
Oh, fuck.
So Emma was born, although he did eventually have 3 sons. Her father was, kind of maybe a typical man of the time. Who knows? He used violence to punish his children when they disobeyed him, and Emma was the most rebellious. And her mom, at this point, checked out on the world because the man she loved died of tuberculosis when she was 17 or something, was like, hey, stop.
I mean, get a grip. You're 17. You'll be okay. God, living in the past like that? Gross.
It's disgusting. But so the mom barely intervened. She just was, I think she was pretty checked out on life at that point, based on what Emma said about her. Goldman also later speculated, I think in one of her biographies or something, that her father's furious temper was probably because he was sexually frustrated.
You don't say.
He wasn't getting what he needed from Toby.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, took it out on the kids.
Physically or also sexually?
Just physically.
Okay.
We'll get into sex crimes later.
Oh, great.
But, yes, just physically. When Emma was a young girl, the family moved to, I don't know, somewhere else. But I think just somewhere else in the Russian Empire, where her father ran an inn. Her sisters worked there, and that was when she first became sexually aroused, I guess, by one of the servant boys that worked there. Nothing really comes of that.
Was she aroused?
She was. Later, while living there, she witnessed a peasant being whipped in the street with a knife.
That's a new one.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, really.
That's a slashing, not a lashing. Yeah.
Unless she's getting hit with the, handle.
Yeah. It's called a knout. It's a Russian whip. Of course, the Russians made this. That consists of a rawhide thong or rope attached to a long wooden handle knife, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah.
Cool.
Whipped with that. And this event traumatized her for the rest of her life. And that was when
Just seeing this
made her hate authority.
Dude, she's just like her mom. 17, husband dies. Now she's a child, sees a whipping. Oh, my
I'm sorry,
life.
it's not a knife. It's just a long wooden handle on the end. So essentially, it's a long piece of wood attached to a whip. That's just essentially someone's getting more RPMs, more MPH on the piece of wood.
That makes way more sense.
Yeah, I don't know why it said that. So yeah, she saw this and was like, "Fuck the man. Fuck this."
She saw a dirty hobo get beat.
Didn't even ask what the guy did. It is funny.
Yeah, what if he deserved it?
What if it was no, he was molesting an entire school. She didn't ask. At the age of 7,
She painted her own narrative.
exactly.
Probably stealing food for his family.
That is actually kind of a story of her life. She really likes to paint her own narrative onto things, and we'll get to that. At the age of 7, they moved to the German Empire in the Prussian city of Königsberg, and she was enrolled in the school. One of the teachers punished disobedient students, including Goldman in particular, because she was always disobedient, by beating their hands with a ruler. Typical Catholic school shit. I don't know what the big fucking deal is, to be honest. Now, this one I could understand her hatred for. Another teacher was fired for trying to molest his female students. And he, I guess, was successful a lot until Goldman fought back. And they found out. And he was finally fired.
I mean, good for that school for firing someone for that.
But it feels like
That sounds like a normal thing.
back then, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the risk you kind of run just being in that era.
Kind
Right?
of.
I got an F. Oh, no.
That is a funny thing about what people say today. It's like, there's so many goddamn pedophiles. Like, it's got to be the lowest per capita in the history of Earth.
Yeah.
Like, by far.
And then you hear of all the serial killers in the early 1900s, and you hear about their childhoods, and you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I get it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. And honestly, she lived kind of a serial killer childhood herself, to be honest.
Did she get hit in the head at a young age, too?
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Although it's not recorded in here. I mean, if her dad's beating her,
Yeah.
one would imagine.
Probably got
That's
dropped.
a hard yes.
Yeah.
So she was a passionate student.
You're blaming it on CTE, Lopez.
As I should, yeah.
Okay.
All right. I mean,
Everyone should, yeah.
She didn't go into concussion protocol.
It does rearrange
she
the
didn't.
brain in bad ways, as we've discussed before.
She had to take a couple plays off.
She didn't take any plays off. She was a grinder, real gym rat. Which
Next
is
day,
actually
right
true
back there.
because she passed an exam for an admission to a gymnasium. She was going to get into a gymnasium.
Oh, gymnastics, too. They have a lot of CTE.
Yeah, they flip in the air and bam.
Yeah, they don't even
Land on their necks.
nothing even hits them so much as they just scramble their brains in the air.
It's just gravity. Oh, and that, yeah.
Well, they hit the ground hard. They
Yeah,
fail
that's true.
quite
They
often.
do fall quite a bit as well.
They're not just nailing perfect routines.
But I mean, it does fuck them up even just doing those. Remember, Simone Biles had to tap out because she had
Vertigo?
basically.
She had a minty bee, dude. That wasn't vertigo.
No, it was. She said she had the twisties. I'll take her word for it. They call it the twisties.
I used to hit McTwist all the time. That was my favorite flip.
What does that entail?
Just like a 180 flip.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a backflip 180. And then the twist is you in the air, just looking backwards.
Yeah, you're fucking sick, bro.
Did you throw up the jaw?
Every time.
shaka.
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
I'll fucking nail one on you right now.
Do it. I did push-ups on the show the other day. Fucking do it.
Wait, what?
I don't know if that made the episode.
It was a read for the ad.
No, that's right.
It was Fitbod.
Yeah, but it wasn't on video. So there's no proof.
There is no proof. God damn it. He didn't think I could do 20 push-ups.
I think you could.
He impressed me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I might not be able to right now.
Yeah, you bitch. You do 20 push-ups.
My shoulders in just such dire straits.
Fuck that. You're taking PEDs.
I know I am. Injecting right to the shoulder. I actually feel great.
So do I.
I did chest today.
That's why I'm wearing this tank top to show off my new physique.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm aroused.
It's that Utah body.
I've lost a pound.
Someone's going to see you 300 years from now and be like, whoa, people were that hot in the past?
Yep. Wizards could pull off that bod.
God damn, dude. So the family, so she got into the gymnasium, but because she was so unruly in school, not just when teachers were trying to molest her, that her religion teacher was like, no, fuck you. I'm not saying, she didn't give the certificate of good behavior she needed to get in, or the religion teacher didn't, so she was unable to attend gymnasium. The family moved back to Russia, to St. Petersburg, where her father opened one unsuccessful store after another.
Damn.
He's just going from pyramid scheme to pyramid
sucks.
scheme.
I fucking
Going
he's
door to
just
door, selling shoes.
Like he just comes into the house one day and he's like, I tell you, buttons are the thing. Everyone has button on coat. If I make button store, who not buy buttons, you know? And then just he can't run a business and everyone's like, what the fuck is this button shop?
He tried to invent the zipper.
Yeah. He goes, button horrible. I realize it's at their button store. I make thing.
I wasn't wrong. I was just early.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the wife's just checked out on laudanum. She's like, no, you were wrong. And then he's like, God damn it! And just hits the kids. And then Emma's like, I like anarchy. I don't know the name for it yet, but that's what I want.
And this is how fucking Vladimir Lenin comes to power.
Kind of. Just that whole country. She
Because
actually,
she isn't a special case here.
spoiler alert, later in the episode has a meeting with Lenin.
Whoa.
Has a face-to-face.
I'm not bragging about that.
She wouldn't either, and we'll get to it. So as a teenager in Russia, Goldman was like, Dad, please let me go back to school. Papa, please. And she was just begging him, and eventually he with his button store and underwater and everything, he was just like, fuck this. And he took her French book, threw it in the fire, and shouted, girls do not have to learn much. All a Jewish daughter needs to know is how to prepare gefilte fish, cut noodles fine, and give the man plenty of children.
All right. Yeah.
So school was a no.
They've come a long way. They have women in the army now.
Israel?
IDF.
Baddies in the army now.
Yeah, Gal Gadot's.
I'm just saying, if you want to look at good propaganda, dive into IDF TikTok.
I love watching their there's like pictures or videos of their reservists that are shopping at a Macy's with like a rifle on their back.
Yeah.
And it's the hottest chick you've ever seen. Like, she just has a rifle loaded, ready to go somewhere.
What does that do to you as a man who works in gun manufacturing?
Everything. It does everything for me. That's all I want is a woman who either like wants to learn how to shoot or can shoot.
You
That's
need to get
awesome.
yourself an Israeli.
Yeah. I mean, are they coming yet? Are they here?
There's Israeli girls here. You
They
can find
should
them.
they should flee more.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with the Palestinians in Gaza, covered in blood and dirt and stuff. It's like, clean up.
Yeah.
But I bet they
We need
clean-
better
but
propaganda
they
out of you
clean up
guys.
that-
Yeah.
yeah, that is the problem. Is that they don't, because Israel's a Western country, they can show all the goodies.
Yeah, you got to show more than ankle,
Yeah,
Mhm.
you know?
and that would turn the tide of the war, I think.
I think so.
Yeah,
You're really turning people off with all the dead babies.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't parade those out. Israel's got dead babies too, but they're showing baddies.
Show more ass.
It's ass wins wars, is what Napoleon said.
They would sell war bonds left and right.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of how they sold war bonds in World War II. Every show had, like, a good example of that is in the first Captain America movie, right? He gets introduced out with a bunch of hot chicks. That's
Oh,
like
yeah.
every war bond fucking thing ever.
That was John Basilone.
Yeah.
He was
we
with
talk-
like some like actress or I don't know who the fuck she was. Some like famous chick. They would just walk around together.
Yeah.
They got dudes with a babe.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm gonna
Buy war
donate
bonds.
money. Yeah.
All boys fuck.
Yeah.
Japanese don't fuck.
Yeah.
Buy war bonds.
Wasn't good enough for John, though.
John had to go back.
No, yeah, John.
Need to get some.
John met
And
that
he
cook
got-
wife and got married immediately. And then got blown up.
He
That's the
got
thing is,
domed.
He didn't go back till after he got married. So he got married, and then he was like, "Oh boy, I'd rather charge a machine gun than this shit." And
Yep.
got his wish.
Yep.
Womp womp. Anyway, so Goldman just kind of educated herself after that. She studied the political turmoil around her because a lot of Russian shit was going on at the time, including this was what first awakened her, although she didn't quite understand it.
Sexually, spiritually.
Probably all of the
Nice.
above. The assassination of our boy Alexander II of Russia.
Hmm.
That she was like, oh, that's interesting. That's fun.
Alex 2 or Alex 3?
2.
You sure? Okay.
Alex III was the his son, who was the Hoss.
Wait,
Yeah.
they both got assassinated?
No.
Oh.
Alex III did not get assassinated. Alex II got assassinated.
That'd be a fun lineage.
Yeah,
Everyone
right.
you
Well,
know, yeah.
Alex II and his grandson both got assassinated.
There you go.
Tsar Nicholas.
Yeah, that's fun.
So she eventually read the novel What Is to Be Done, the Russian novel, and she found a role model in the protagonist Vera, who adopted a nihilist philosophy, which is sort of like we know what nihilism is, but in that time period, it was sort of like the gateway to anarchy, anarchism. And this character, escaped her repressive family and went to live in a sewing co-op. So she was like, that sounds sweet. I want to do that. Her dad, meanwhile, consistently was like, you're going to get married and have babies. You're 16. Come on, let's go. They fought about the issue constantly. He complained that she was becoming a loose woman. She insisted she would only marry for
Money.
love. He was the money one. She was like, it's love or nothing.
Yeah, but they love money. Women love money.
Bitches be,
So it is love.
yeah, I guess that's true. What kind of love is doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they
It's all
love time.
perspective.
They love time with their partner, and time is money. Again, money.
Oh,
Grind culture.
Yep.
grind culture is, it all goes back to them dollars. So she was working at a corset shop at the time, and she really further became just turned off to her current life when Russian military officers and other men were constantly aggressively, and I mean aggressively, not like, what's up, babe? Come on, let me buy you a drink. Let me buy you a drink. I mean like bad Russian aggressive, hitting on her. One man took her into a hotel room and sexually assaulted her. She felt that encounter forever soured her interactions with men. Not wrongly so, I would imagine. Although she did go on to get married a couple times and have people she fell in love with. In 1885, her sister Helena made
Those are fun, toxic relationships, though. She's like breaking bottles over their head.
none of the relationships are great, but she does fall in love.
Dude, a Russian toxic relationship sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
That sounds like the worst toxic
that's not
relationship you can
something
be in.
any Western man is built for.
Every
Yeah.
day could be your last
Yeah.
because they could take you out easily.
If the tiniest Russian man yelled at me right now, I'd be scared.
Or like, I would just not put it past any Russian woman to like, even if you could take her, she'd poison your ass.
Mm-hmm. She wants to see it slowly happen.
Yeah, stands over you smoking a cigarette. You were never real man. You think you're so tough.
I mean,
You
best
think
way
you're
to
so
go out.
clever, but here you are on the floor.
Dying like an asshole.
You pussy.
Isn't that how we all want to die, though? Honestly,
With a Russian woman smoking over our
just
corpse.
any babe poisoning us. That'd be
Kinda.
sick.
Yeah. I've always kind of seen myself, especially at my new apartment, kind of bleeding out in the pool.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
after I got shot by a femme fatale.
Sunset Boulevard style.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good pool.
That's the dream.
Just one more. Like you're just, you know it's over, and you're just.
It hurts like hell, but you're like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah,
smoke
you
this
got it
cigarette.
right in the lung,
Yeah.
but you don't care.
And you can't make a noise. If you die and you're like, oh, fuck. If you're making noises while you die, you're a bitch.
Also,
You have to just take it.
remember when you're a
somehow.
kid and you're just kind of like holding your breath underwater in the pool like that?
I still do that.
I would kind of enjoy it as I die, I think. A little part of me.
Yeah. And then your blood looks really cool in the water. It like just spreads way quicker. That's awesome.
It's pretty sweet. You guys want me to kill you that way?
There's worse ways to go. I don't want you to kill me. I
Oh,
want,
you want a lady to do
yeah,
it.
ladies got to do it.
Yeah.
You gotta
Ladies
find
got to
a
be
lady to
behind
do
a
it?
gun.
I'll find this Israeli chick and she'll do it.
I mean, Courtney would probably do it.
I said femme fatale, Rob.
Okay. Not mom of three.
No.
I'll teach her how to shoot and then she'll be cool. And
Yeah.
then it'll work out. Yeah.
She's got no edge.
Uh,
Your wife's not bad enough.
I'm going to text her that right out.
Dan said you don't have enough edge to kill him.
Oh,
I
that's
said, Dan says
amazing.
you have no edge live on the show. So we'll see what she says back. So,
She's like a wheel of cheese.
wow, I'm not sending her that.
Not like physically. But
I'm
like,
going to actually send her that now. Dan says you're like a wheel of cheese, ... physically.
I said not physically.
Oh, my God. All right, so her sister's going to move to New York, and she wants to go with her sister. And her dad's like, fuck that. You're getting married. You're staying here. So Goldman is like, if you don't let me go, I'm going to throw myself in a fucking river. That river,
Yes.
right by our house. Finally, the dad agrees, and in 1885, they go to New York.
Yes. I didn't think this was going to go to America.
Oh, she's in America for a
Anarchy
while.
in America?
Yep.
Fuck yes, dude.
So she gets there, and by the way, it was her parents leave like a few years later because, believe it or not, there's rising anti-Semitism in Russia.
It happens every decade or
It's
so.
like the Olympics, honestly. Summer and winter. It's every 2 years.
Somewhere in the world, they're going to be hosting some anti-Jew shit.
She got a new job, and Goldman met a fellow worker named Jacob Kirshner. They liked books and traveling and blah, blah, blah. After 4 months of knowing each other, they married in 1887. On their wedding night, Miss Lucky, everything coming up Goldman so far in life. On their wedding night, she finds out that the love of her life, his dick don't work.
Oh.
And not just for the night.
Whiskey dick?
Like, he's just impotent.
there's actually nothing down there.
It's just
He's a Ken doll.
Yeah.
He's smoothboard. Fuck.
He can't. So he's like, so like they get married and they get into the hotel room and he's like, okay, now's probably the time to tell you.
He could still be in your corner, but now you get to be freaky. Now you have your pick of the litter.
It's nothing a splint and some foreplay won't fix, as far as I'm concerned.
He's still got a tongue, right?
Yeah, you could do stuff. So before long, the relationship became emotionally and, of course, physically distant. And he started getting jealous and suspicious that she was running around with guys who had operational dicks. And he was like, if you leave me, I'll kill myself.
Well, honestly,
No way.
the
He's
fact
the
that he
first
hasn't with a non-working dick is kind of credit to him.
Right?
Like, if my dick doesn't work, I'm out of this world.
You're done.
What's the point?
We all know
What's the
someone
point?
too who, like, whether it's a guy friend or a girlfriend who has had that relationship of, like, they want to break up with someone and they go, if you break up with me, I'm going to kill myself.
I'll fucking kill
And they
myself.
never fucking do. But, you know, they always believe, like, oh, I can't leave her because she'll kill herself. It's like, brother, she
Dude,
ain't.
but what about the one time where they do? Then you get the blood on your hands. You got to live with that fucking reality.
Yeah, what's wrong with that, dude?
That's in the back of your head.
That's a stateside in my eyes, dude.
What are you supposed to do? Just sit around forever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't give a man emotional CPR for the rest of his life.
Like a good Irish Catholic, you sit in that
You
misery.
just stick it out. Yeah, like an Irish Catholic. Sex, you don't need sex anyway. After you have your kids, but you didn't have any kids, so that's the problem. This whole time, Goldman was still, since the assassination of Alexander II, very much into the politics around her and stuff like that. And if the assassination of Alexander II awakened her, this event engaged her. This is the event that brought her into not just politics, but anarchism.
The Paralympics.
She got really into the Haymarket affair. The bombing in the Chicago Haymarket, in which I think like workers and anarchists were clashing with police over maybe like strikes or something like that. One of the anarchists threw a bomb, killed 7 cops.
Whoa.
And Emma Goldman was like, that's pretty sweet.
That's an impressive bomb.
Yeah.
Like most bombs these days, throwing at someone doesn't kill 7.
Yep, it was the Haymarket affair. Hot dude. This is what got her into
This is probably
anarchism.
what did it.
No
It was
way, he
Louis
hot.
Ling. Look up Louis Ling. I'll put a photo of him in the
Whoa!
video right now. Look at this man.
Whoa!
The Haymarket affair was done by a fucking stud. So
Yeah.
he totally convinced this woman to get into
And
anarchism.
probably a lot of other women.
How's a guy look that good?
This is insane.
then?
Whoa, yeah.
It's like a handsome fella.
What the hell?
No, that's not handsome. That's starting shortstop for the New York Yankees, handsome.
That's a piece right there,
That's
man.
fucking incredible. So this is probably why she got super into the Haymarket affair, if I had to guess. She was, I will say, she was into the bombing. Full stop. She thought the bombing was sweet. However, in her defense, I will say, she was also outraged by the trials and executions afterwards, which were questionable. They kind of just, they might have got someone who was responsible, but there was also a lot of patsies and people just on the fringes who had nothing to do with the bombing who were also tried and imprisoned and in some cases executed. I believe a couple of them were pardoned later, the ones who were just given prison sentences, because eventually they appealed and they were like,
They were just there for the ride.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
did this broad look like?
Emma, not bad in her youth. You know,
Could she catch it?
in the 1880s, certainly.
Tall glass water? What kind of features
This
does
is
she
like
have?
young Emma Goldman.
All right.
Cutie.
Yeah.
She ages
Yeah.
like a Russian woman, though.
They get really short, really fast.
And also just like a woman of that era. Like, this is what she looked like most of her life.
That's not what she looked like most of her life.
This is what
That's
she
a
looked like most of
60-year-old
her life.
woman.
That's a brood.
No, she's actually 32 in that picture, probably.
She can
It's the
chunk
1880s.
logs, dude. She's cutting the firewood.
Your only skincare routine in the 1880s in any city is coal smoke.
Which again, like I'm not saying this in like a gay way. The fact that Louis Ling looks like this
First off,
in 1887,
I will say it in a gay way. Like, that's so good looking for that time period.
it makes no sense.
It's unbelievable.
He's got like the perfect goatee, manicured.
Yep.
I mean, just the facial structure, everything.
And who does that back then? Who takes time
A lot
to
of
work
people-
on their
a lot of
facial
people.
Good
hair?
old barber. You got nothing but time, really.
True.
Fuck. I guess. I mean, I go with like what I would do. I would just be a filthy hobo. You know.
Yeah, we know.
I would look just like a drifter. I'd be the guy that gets killed somewhere from someone. Lives on the street.
You're like John Rambo walking through that town, except it ends at the first act
Yeah. Yeah.
because you just get beaten to death by the sheriffs in
I
prison.
think I can do something cool. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not built for this.
Yeah.
This dude honestly looks like my best friend from back home, Matt. It's just an 1800s version of him.
Love that.
When's the last time we talked to Matt?
I talk to him like every day.
Oh, cool.
He listens to
Okay.
the show, so
What's up, Matt? You're hot.
Your 1880s hot.
So less than a year after the wedding, Kirshner and Goldman divorced. He doesn't kill himself, believe it or not.
Like I said,
Yeah.
they never do.
Yeah. Her parents at this point kick her out. She moves to New York City. On her very first day in New York City, she goes to a cafe full of anarchists, basically.
wait, I'm sorry. We can't skip over this.
Dude.
He blasted the bomb in his mouth.
Did he the bomb that killed the cops?
It said suicide by blasting caps in mouth.
Yeah, but I think that was different than the
There's
bomb.
no way you kill 7
Cops
people
with a bomb inside
with-
your head.
Yeah.
That's not physically.
That's why I mentioned like bombs these days is hard.
Okay, so it was like
To
a
kill
cyanide
seven
bomb.
people.
Yeah.
Caps of
Yeah,
cyanide. All right.
yeah.
That would have been sick if it was just a bomb that went off in his mouth.
No, that might injure a single person or like kill someone an inch from your face. But
Yeah. I would be disgusted by that. Like, what a waste of that face.
Yeah, so the guy just kind of crushed a bunch of pills in his mouth and then foamed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he detonated something. 'Cause we've all seen drone footage of Ukraine, Russia.
Oh, yeah.
A single drone grenade doesn't always kill the person that drops right on top of them.
Yeah. You'll see him writhing around.
So whatever explosives this guy had to kill 7 is insane.
Yeah, I'm
And-
sorry. I read that and I got excited and then I thought about it.
Dude, I
And
wanna
as it
believe
was
it's
coming out
true.
of my mouth, I'm like, this is very dumb.
I wish that was the case, and I guess it could be.
100% I wish that was the case. Like, he just was deep throating a stick of dynamite.
Like he was the garbage truck in OKC. Like he was just filled with manure.
Hey, it was a Ryder truck.
Because it says blasting. When you're crushing like a cyanide pill.
Look up what that means. Just look up-
Blasting caps?
Blasting. That's just slang.
That's just, yeah.
Hey, dog, if them cops catch me, I'm going to blast caps. I'm blasting caps.
Crushing a cap of cyanide, okay, yeah, you kill yourself. But blasting caps, it just sounds so extravagant.
Sounds awesome.
Dude, maybe each one of his teeth went to the brain.
Yeah.
Because it just blew his teeth out, and that was the shrapnel that killed 7. Maybe his jawbone hit someone else. You know, I mean, it's technically possible, but and I'm gonna believe that that's what happened.
Yeah, choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
But I was very dumb. I'm sorry for that aside. I see the floor.
It's okay. So on her first day in New York City, she goes to a cafe full of anarchists and other activists, and she meets anarchist Alexander Berkman, who's like, "You should come to my speech." It's definitely not because I want to bang you. They go to a speech. They go to another speech, not his speech, of another anarchist, Jonathan Most, and he talks about the propaganda of the deed. The anarchists were essentially into this thing where we can't just talk about it. We can't just be vibes and essays. We got to fucking kill people. That's why they killed so many people. They were like, we have to kill people. If we don't kill people, no one will take us seriously. And
gotta
they
be
killed
about
a
that
lot
life.
of fucking people.
Yeah.
I'm too scared to fight anyone these days.
Well,
I don't want to get punched.
just
man.
use your gun.
Yeah. Well, I can't pull a gun in a fist fight. I have to accept the fact I'll get punched in
Yeah,
the
that's
face.
fair. So Most took her under his wing and taught her how to public speak and all this stuff. She does her first public speaking gig and is enthralled by it, keeps doing public speaking, But most is like trying to control her, be like, this is how you're supposed to be an anarchist. This is how anarchists work. You got to repeat what I say because I'm like the fucking king shit anarchist. Like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. She quickly, who doesn't like any authority, and by the way, there's a hierarchy in the anarchist society. Like, you got to listen to me. I'm the king anarchist.
Oh, shit.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. So she and Most start arguing over her independence. After she goes on stage one time and says basically whatever she wants, which is what an anarchist should do, I suppose, she gets back to New York, and Most is furious with her and says, who is not with me is against me. And she's kicked out of Most's anarchist crew.
It's a confusing sentence.
They're more eloquent back then.
No, but most anarchist groups.
Oh, yeah. Most's anarchist group.
Mm-hmm.
No, most anarchist groups love her, but Most's anarchist group,
Not so much.
not so much. Yeah. What's on second? Who's on first? Most anarchist groups. Most anarchist groups don't like most anarchist group.
A poll says.
So she gets kicked out. However, she had begun a friendship with that guy Berkman, and before long they became lovers and moved into a communal apartment. She just lives in like communal places her whole life. Like, she's living like 8 people to a fucking apartment constantly. Because
That makes sense.
property is bullshit, and everyone needs to share a room. And if a bang sesh breaks out, let a bang sesh.
I mean, she's living by her own standards. So.
Okay, so it is just nothing but orgies.
I think these people were pretty sexually
She's swinging
free.
both ways.
No, I didn't read that, actually. I didn't find that, but it wouldn't surprise me if she tossed a finger or
A
tongue.
body's a body at that point.
Yeah.
You're in a pile.
If you are an anarchist, you have to be a pansexual.
I don't even know what that means.
A bisexual.
That's bodies. Yeah, pansexual is body's a body.
Hole's a hole.
Yeah, which is the same as bi, but whatever.
Hole's a hole, dog.
Yeah.
And a thang's a thang. Finger, dick, tongue. Doesn't matter. Just get it.
Yeah.
You just live a liberated life. You know what I mean?
And at that time, why not?
I mean, other than the fact that everyone's kind of gross and dirty. I'd be like,
I'm sure they had running water by then, right?
some people.
Now,
that's why they
pansexuals
can
also
afford it.
have sex with like inanimate objects.
No. They're anybody, but they prefer.
Why aren't they just bisexual?
Because, idiot.
Yeah, dude. We told you.
They fuck animals too? Like,
No, it's just
No.
people. Men and women.
A hole's a hole.
Okay.
Get it now?
Not really.
Okay, let me explain it to you again. It's a pansexual and not a bisexual because.
Attention.
No, I ended my sentence at because.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
That's
Get
it.
a grip, dude.
Fucking idiot.
Grow up.
Okay, grandpa, boomer.
Be more accepting. Stop being such a bigot.
So, in 1892, Goldman joins Berkman and another guy. They open an ice cream shop, I guess, just to fund their bullshit. After a few months of operating the shop,
Maybe she just learned from her dad. Just keep on opening things.
Well, no,
that's like all. Yeah, I guess I didn't follow my parents' footsteps, but I guess if I did, like, I would be an attorney. And she's just like, oh, my dad was a failed businessman, so I must be a failed businessman.
I could have been a 3rd-generation waterman.
Could have been a water treater, work in the water fields.
Just throwing chemicals in,
Yeah.
throwing all the fluoride, Into our water
chemicals
supply.
in, throwing chemicals in.
making the population dumber.
Got the fluoride for the teeth. Got the fluoride for the teeth. Gonna melt that brain. Gonna melt that brain.
You're doing spirituals now?
Yeah, I don't know.
it's a sea shanty, all right?
Okay.
Yeah. It's that old Philadelphia waterman spiritual. Ask your dad. He'll sing it to you verbatim. So, the Homestead strike breaks out in Pittsburgh. It's a big strike against a steel mill steel plant owned by Andrew Carnegie. When talks between the Carnegie Steel Company and the union break down, management closes the plant, locks out the workers, blah, blah, blah. They immediately go on strike. Strike breakers are brought in, and the company hires Pinkerton guards to protect them. On July 6th, a fight breaks out between 300 Pinkerton guards and a crowd of armed union workers. During the 12-hour gunfight, 7 guards and 9 strikers are killed. Typical union shit in the 1800s, late 1800s.
Pinkertons were no joke.
They didn't give a fuck.
No. If they only killed 9 in a 12-hour gunfight, you suck, dude.
It was 9 and 7. It wasn't like
Get a grip.
It wasn't the gunfights you're thinking of. This isn't.
Yeah, it's just
you were in the fucking military. Like these are
Yeah.
all. Actually, it's not all amateurs. The Pinkertons are trained, but the union workers are amateurs, and I think they're kind of just like, pew, pew.
Yeah, little pot shots. Those are called pot shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a random, just one off.
Yeah, it's not a full on.
And
like,
they go and they run away. They're like, "Fuck, that was cool."
L-shaped ambush, like flanking
Dude.
this fucking. You know what
If
I mean?
the Pinkertons didn't L shape, that'd be so sick.
Well, the Pinkertons might have, but the union workers won't. And the Pinkertons were playing defense,
yeah.
almost certainly, I would imagine. So
You also got to think like, which I forget about a lot is a lot of people don't want to kill someone.
mhm.
Like I'm gonna shoot at them or around them. Like I
Scare 'em off.
Don't want to
I would
actually
imagine
hit that guy.
I don't know about the war on terror because I feel like U.S. soldiers are so well trained nowadays, but I know in World War II, a lot of people, because it was literally citizen soldiers, like me and Dan would have been in the army, were just aiming to keep people pinned down.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And letting other people kill them, whether it's artillery.
That was certainly the case with
That was a huge thing in Nam.
the Civil War
Even Nam was like,
Oh
that.
yeah,
because they didn't want to like shoot their fellow citizen.
they find a lot of bullet holes in the Civil War in trees at a point where it would be almost have to be purposefully aimed.
Yeah,
Right, when you're like fire the volley or whatever, and you're just like, I don't want to kill anyone. Man.
Yeah, you're like, it's a fucking dude from Virginia.
Here's
He
my
got
thing
caught
though,
up. He's poor.
is that I'm standing in that line and I'm like, okay, I don't want to kill anyone, but I'm not certain that they don't want to kill anyone.
yeah, exactly.
So
I'd be the first guy to drop my muzzle a little bit lower.
yeah, it is what it is, man. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't know what you want.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, but I don't know what you want to do.
Blame circumstance.
You might really fucking hate me for no reason.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to shoot you, bro.
It is what I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But I don't want to get shot in the face by a mini ball either.
Yeah.
Just bouncing around in there like a pinball
Yeah.
machine.
So the majority of the nation's newspapers actually expressed support for the strikers, and Goldman and Berkman were like, okay, we're anarchists, propaganda of the deed. We're going to assassinate this guy Frick, who is kind of one of the guys in charge of the plant or whatever. Not Carnegie, but another guy who's in charge of the plant. So they thought, hear me out if you've heard this logic before, if we kill this guy, all the workers in the country will rise up and revolt against capitalism.
Mhm.
If we kill this one random guy whose name you would only know if you read the newspaper articles closely,
Yes.
the entire country will rise up against their economic system.
Well, it's also like the Night King, right? You take off head honcho, all of his henchmen and underlings, they just die.
Well, not even head honcho. They're not killing Carnegie. This is just a White Walker.
So you just gotta take the head of Carnegie, and everyone else falls.
But they didn't do that. But they did go after Frick. So Berkman said he would carry out the assassination. However, the ice cream shop wasn't doing well, so they needed to find a way to get money to get him to Pittsburgh.
They should have opened a coffee shop.
Yeah, to have all
Nobody
their-
makes better coffee than an anarchist.
I
Yeah.
agree. That's what they're meant to do. Oh, you're an anarchist? I bet you're a hell of a barista.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, my brother is literally that, but with tea.
Tracks.
He was in Portland. I'll limit what I say, but he was in Portland during a lot of things, and he just made tea.
Yeah.
Now he's in LA making coffee.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, but you go to like a local mom and pop coffee shop, it's always a they them.
Oh, he yeah. He
It's
might
just someone
be
who's like,
one.
fuck the system, man. And you're like, you're pretty good at that fucking cappuccino system.
Yeah. I mean,
Don't fuck that system.
love what you do. You never
Yeah.
worked a day
Also,
in your
like
life.
I'm that guy that's like, if I walk into a place and they have Biden Harris or Hillary Clinton flag, I'm gonna get my coffee still. I'm not that dude that's like, I'm not going to support you guys and give money to them. That's probably a really good fucking coffee. And if it is,
it's a good
I'm going
cup
to
of
keep going
Joe.
back there. Yeah.
It's like saying you only want your, like, you don't like immigrants, but you only want your tacos to be made by, like, real white Texans.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing but flour.
Yeah, you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak a word of it. I don't have to use Google Translate to order my fucking food.
Now listen, do I want the flour tortillas? Of course.
Yes. I have been at the gas station in the front of my neighborhood. There's a taco shop in there. No one speaks English, and they have to ask me what the meat I want and all that stuff. They never, ever, ever ask me
about the
what
tortilla.
tortilla I want.
Is it Laredo Tacos? Is that the
No,
chain?
it's something else. I
Okay.
forget the name of it.
But they know.
They know.
When I go to a Mexican like meat market to get food, I will purposefully be like, "Hello, good afternoon," when I introduce myself or like say hi to them,
Yeah.
so they know I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And then
Because they'll
someone,
just assume.
they'll assume I speak Spanish,
They'll
and
be
I
like,
go,
and you're like, I don't.
I'm like, dude, half pound carnitas.
Because you
and
sound
some
like you're
rice.
just from SoCal. You're like, oh, yeah, dude, give me some fucking
Right.
you got to do San Diego burrito here?
But I'll
With French fries?"
purposefully whiten everything to make them like, oh, this guy does not know how.
You're
to
not
work.
going in just being like, I'm so tired, man, so sleepy.
Yeah.
So Berkman is like, I'm going to carry out the attack. Goldman's like, okay, we got to get you some money. I'll fund it. And she decided to do this through, because the ice cream shop wasn't working, decided to do it through prostitution. She's going to sell herself
Fuck.
on the street.
You get a taco and a cone.
Yep. With plenty of cream. It's your semen. So she's working the street one day trying to fund the assassination. And Goldman caught the eye of a man. And so he's like, come on, let's have a drink before we get down to business or whatever. So they go in the saloon. He buys her a beer, gives her $10, and goes, honey, you don't have the knack for this business. Get off the street.
I think he was going after our looks. Wasn't the knack.
No, he straight up said, you are not cut out to... he's like, I've had plenty of prostitutes. You're not cut out to be a prostitute. Stop now. Goldman said she was too astounded for speech, quit prostituting immediately when her first customer was like, you ain't it.
Yeah, I looked at her. She is not, something I want to pay for.
What do you think street prostitutes look like in the fucking 1880s?
They don't look good now.
That's a fair point.
So she wrote her sister and was like, I'm sick. Can you send me $15? Her sister does. So Berkman gains access to Frick's office, carrying a concealed handgun.
Just having a handout.
Yeah.
15 bones.
He gets into Frick's office, shoots Frick 3 times, and stabs him in the leg. Frick,
Why the leg?
I don't know. Maybe femoral artery. Maybe he's just nervous. I don't think he's killed anyone before. So Frick is sitting there wounded, and these workers come in, like workers, not Pinkerton people, whatever, workers. And Berkman's like, I did it! Aren't you happy? And the workers beat the Christ out of him.
Yeah.
Yo, that's my dog. Dude pays me fair wages.
Dude, they catered lunch on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. The workers who were striking beat the fuck out of Berkman for shooting Frick. He's carried away by police unconscious. Police then arrest Goldman as well.
The voice of the working class very rarely, associate with the working class.
Yeah. There, I saw a funny TikTok reel or something from some like he's liberal, but he's kind of redneck, kind of blue collar guy, and he's socialist. Every working class person you claim to fucking hates you. Mm-hmm. Fucking hates you. That's one of my favorite scenes in Oppenheimer when they're all trying to organize for socialism, and Josh Hartnett busts in. And he's like, "What the fuck do you think you have in common with a grape farmer? Are you kidding me?"
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like, "But we're
Theory only gets you so far, Rob.
Exactly." So, everyone, the workers, obviously the Carnegies, other anarchists, even everyone condemns the attacks and all this shit. And she's furious. She confronts one of her former mentor on stage and whips him with a whip.
Mm-hmm.
and all this shit. But she later said,
No, he whips him with a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hates that. What the fuck?
I know, right? She whips him. That she later wrote, at the age of 23, one does not reason. So she's 23 when all this is happening, if that sounds familiar to you. When the Panic of 1893 hits the following year, the U.S. is in an economic crisis. She starts speaking to huge crowds because everyone's like, oh, we're in an economic crisis. Maybe we want a different way. She says we need to take everything by force. She's arrested in Philadelphia, returned to New York for trial for
You're
starting
welcome.
a riot. Yeah.
Handled business there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During the train ride, Jacobs offered the police offered to drop the charges if she informs on her fellow anarchists. She throws a glass of water in the cop's face, says, fuck you, I'm not ratting anyone out. As she awaited trial, Goldman was visited by a reporter by the name of Nellie Bly.
Nellie, good old Nellie.
Yeah. She spent 2 hours talking to Goldman and wrote a positive article about Goldman and called her the modern Joan of Arc. By the way, this woman just tried to help assassinate a completely innocent man. But sure.
You know, they're not all hits for Nellie.
Despite the positive publicity, she was found guilty because the jury was like, this bitch is crazy. She was sentenced to a year in Blackwell Island Penitentiary. Goldman was released 10 months later to a raucous crowd of 3,000 people. And then in November 1899, she went to Europe to speak to a anarchist hovel in London. Then her and her buddy Berkman traveled to France to organize the most, hypocritical sounding thing in the world, the International Anarchist Congress.
Yeah.
I just assume all of this ends with a lobotomy.
Somehow, no.
Oh.
She lives a long, fulfilling life.
Is it fulfilling?
No, actually, she gets really sad at the end and is like, my life sucked.
Mm-hmm.
In 1901, McKinley's assassin, Leon Kogla, the Polak, tries to meet up with her, and multiple times they're like, oh, this guy's weird, I don't want to talk to him.
Right.
And anyway, he goes on to shoot McKinley. She gets arrested again because they think she's part of it because at this point she's a very famous anarchist. However, she's eventually released when even the Polak is like, yeah, she wouldn't talk to me. I wanted to hang out with her, but she didn't have anything to do with it. Still, she was vilified in the press as the, quote, high priestess of anarchy, and many newspapers, not wrongfully, declared the anarchist movement responsible for the murder. In the wake of these events, of McKinley's assassination, this is when socialism started to get more popular than anarchism in the United States. After McKinley's assassin was executed, Goldman kind of withdrew from society for a little bit. However, when another anarchist was arrested, she joined the Free Speech League to champion his cause. She returned to anarchist activism, but it was taking her toll on her. She wrote, I never felt so weighed down. I fear I am forever doomed to remain public property and have my life worn out through the care of the lives of others. In 1906, she started an anarchist publication. That same year, Berkman was released from prison, and carrying a bouquet of roses, she met him at the prison because he went to jail longer, obviously, for literally trying to kill the guy. And she found herself seized by terror and pity for how fucked up he looked. It took him weeks to adjust to the outside, a real Brooks was here situation. And he actually bought a gun and was going to kill himself because he couldn't handle being on the outside. But Goldman was arrested again with a group of activists because they had a meeting to talk about how McKinley's assassin was, wrongly executed because he was mentally ill. And Berkman was like, my resurrection has come, and it reinvigorated him. However, their relationship didn't last long because Berkman started banging a 15-year-old.
Fuck. That's worse than his dick not working.
Yeah, I know.
Damn it.
So Goldman was sad and whatever. In the spring, they broke up. In the spring of 1908, Goldman met and fell in love with Ben Reitman, the so-called hobo doctor.
Okay.
Whose specialty, he was a hobo.
Now he fixed up hobos, or he was a hobo that was a doctor?
He was both, actually.
Dude, that would have been me back then.
Yeah, it was both. He was a hobo who became a doctor and then specialized in hobos.
Overdoses.
Yeah.
Some stab wounds.
Yeah.
He'll patch you up.
Actually, he specialized in STDs. because hobos were just rotting from syphilis and shit like that.
They be fucking.
Yeah,
Hobos
I
be
wouldn't want to
fucking.
be that dude anymore.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to look at.
So he and Goldman became lovers. However, since they shared a commitment to free love, and she was like, well, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm an anarchist. You can fuck whoever you want, I guess. He did, but she was jealous, and she never did because she really wanted to be monogamous but didn't want to be a hypocrite, essentially.
Women.
Yeah. So she gets really into birth control for a while, gets arrested a couple times for that.
Dude, it happens.
Yup.
Big champion of birth control. Then, this is where she really gets in trouble in the United States. World War I is closing in. It's already going on, but the U.S. isn't in it yet. Woodrow Wilson passes the Selective Service Act, and she goes around organizing for people to not sign up. And the U.S. government is like, fuck that. She's arrested again,
Damn it.
and she goes to prison.
Yeah, the Wilson era was essentially a police state.
Kind of.
Dude, I would
You
get
couldn't really
arrested
fuck
right
around
now. If like a draft happened in World War III, I would tell all my friends not to go.
Oh, yeah.
So fuck, that's illegal? That's a crazy thing.
It was essentially illegal. Because after the McKinley assassination, they passed, I forget the bill, but it was like the Anti-Anarchist Act, more or less. This was under Teddy Roosevelt, by the way. And essentially, it was like Patriot Act level, like, we'll arrest you for anything. You will arrest you for anything anti-government.
But also that era, World War I, the propaganda was, do not fuck any man that doesn't sign up. Like, he's a coward.
It's good propaganda.
You don't wanna have sex
That's
with
the
a
other
coward.
side of the coin of the IDF baddie,
Mm-hmm.
is the impotent draft dodger. Hot girls join the military, cucked dudes with weak cock.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
You know the IDF has like a special needs division, and like they like help sew and like patch up uniforms and shit like that.
Do we not?
I don't think we do.
I don't think you can have Down syndrome and be a...
But like the IDF
Troop.
has like it's like a volunteer thing,
Oh, okay.
but you like volunteer to like serve and you kind of just help sew up uniforms. And,
Okay.
Or just like distribute uniforms. You're like I served, but they have that.
Look, logistics win wars.
Yeah.
All right, not tactics.
No, not at all.
For every one of you on the front line, there's 8 people making sure
Yeah.
you kill.
I don't know what the number is. I think it's like 13 people to like send an infantry guy to whatever, but that's not even a real number. Like the dental technician didn't.
Right.
He's got good teeth. I don't have good fucking teeth, bro.
If you,
Like-
I guess if you nail it down and you shave off that, it's probably still like 6-1.
Yeah, probably. Like the cooks didn't sustain me for war. Like no, I went to Popeyes. You
Well,
guys can't cook.
Yeah, they're not cooking MREs.
But like technically, there's like a number of how many people, and that's where the infantry's like we're the best because it takes 30 people to do whatever. Like no, not really.
it's like 4.
Yeah,
It's still a lot.
like the guy that gives us ammo, the guy that gives us equipment, and
Got to get to drive you there.
the dude that like calls in artillery. You know, like that's cool.
So she goes to jail for that, gets out during the Red Scare of 1920. And guess who's a big player in the U.S. government at this point?
Warren G?
No, this isn't a president. This isn't a president, but this guy will be a big player for the next 40 to 50 years.
I mean, Warren G was never a
True.
Walt Disney.
major player.
Now Walt, old
Henry Ford.
J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh, yeah.
J. Edgar Hoover is like, this bitch has got to go.
Is that the vacuum guy?
FBI.
The FBI guy.
Oh.
The guy who started the FBI.
He
basically.
was a cross-dresser.
What?
Yeah,
He was hoovering.
Fuck.
He was probably hoovering a little bit. So
because he sucked that dick so good.
at this point, Hoover is deporting any non-citizen who is remotely anti-government. Like if you're here on a visa and shit like that or whatever, you're an immigrant at all. He's like, get the fuck out if you're not a goddamn cheerleader for the United States.
Oh shit.
But here's the thing. Goldman is not on a visa. She's an American citizen at this point. But she still has a deportation hearing because they want to get her the fuck out of the country. In 1919, at her deportation hearing, Goldman refused to answer questions about her beliefs because she was like, I'm an American citizen. It literally doesn't matter what I believe.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Spoiler alert, she got deported.
No.
Oh wait, we can deport citizens. That's
Shit
happened
don't
before?
change,
That
dude.
has happened before. She was deported, despite the fact that she was a straight up on paper U.S. citizen.
It's funny how that works.
Where she sent
It's
back?
it's never happened before, right?
Never happened before. We wouldn't do that. We would never do that. We haven't done that before. Where's she sent back to?
Venezuela.
Russia.
Russia during the Russian Revolution.
Good.
Goldman initially was like, okay, I'm not a socialist, but I think this Russian Revolution's pretty sweet. You know, the people, it's the people. The people are rising up. But she still did have reservations because it involved a government, and she's an anarchist. She was shocked to find out that the Russian Revolution was not living up to its ideals.
Oh, Lenin wasn't, all he was cracked up to be?
Yeah, she was shocked to hear a party official refer to free speech as a, quote, bourgeois superstition. They traveled around the country, her and Berkman, who was also deported, and they found repression, mismanagement, corruption fucking everywhere, no equality or worker empowerment at all, believe it or not. Then they had their aforementioned face-to-face with Vladimir Lenin, who assured them, he was like, hey, I promise. Government suppression of the press is totally justified. There can't be any free speech in a revolutionary period.
Why is she important enough to have a meeting with Lenin?
She was a big deal. She was
Why?
a fairly big deal.
Yeah, she spoke enough in front of people in the States, I guess. And
Yeah. She was a big enough speaker and stuff like that.
But she didn't do anything besides speak.
She tried to kill
one guy.
boss guy.
One random factory boss.
And it failed.
And it failed. Tried to kill an innocent person. The thing she's most famous for is A, trying to kill an innocent person, and B, being like, fuck society, tear it all down, and actually we don't need to rebuild anything and everything will be great.
Yeah.
She got interviewed by Nellie Bly.
Smart, yeah. And then Nellie Bly was like, this chick rocks.
Joan
Yas,
of Arc.
queen, strong bitches, unite.
You don't hate the media enough.
Hashtag girl boss.
Yeah. So even though even though Goldman was like, that's fucked up, Vlad, Berkman was like, no, I get it. I totally get it. It's a historical necessity. That's his exact quote, historical necessity. In 1921, more strikes erupted, and Goldman and Berkman in Russia, and Goldman and Berkman felt need to support them. They go, and these strikes are horrible, and 1,000 people are killed by the Soviet government during the strikes.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So they leave for Germany. This is a lost cause. We get the fuck out of here. They go to Germany. She doesn't really find a lot of love in the leftist community in Berlin because she's like, hey, communists suck. And all the leftists are like, what, bitch? Fuck you. Communism rules. And she's like, no, I was there.
I have lived experience.
It's fucking terrible.
It's not great.
And they were like, you ain't down. Get the fuck out. So then she goes to London and has a dinner in London with a bunch of important people, including Bertrand Russell and H.G. Wells.
Okay.
And again, she's like, hey, I don't know. I know you guys are like really into this new revolution that's going on that's supposed to empower people and shit in Russia, but I was there and it was a fucking nightmare. None of that is happening. Most of the people get up and leave the dinner. Some people berate her for not giving communism enough of a runway.
Dude, Hoover should have let him back in.
I know. So they actually do kind of let her back in because she writes a book called like My Experience in Russia or something like that, which is essentially like Russia's a shithole.
It's like that Asian North Korean chick that went on Rogan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like literally.
Yeah. Didn't she have cannons too? Or something weird?
Was she pretty hot?
I think so. Wasn't she?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But she was just trying to like describe what it was like living in North Korea, and I don't know if it was, totally accurate.
It seems like it was all made up, but real good content. Like all made up, but real good. Not all made up, but real good content. I mean, North Korea is a nightmare, but it seems like the shit she was saying was
Just fictional.
yeah. Because anyone would believe anything about North Korea.
Yeah, I spent a full year in Korea, and I believe anything from North Korea. I was like 5 miles from the border. Like that's where the base was.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know what's going on up there. All we knew was like, hey, they have enough artillery to fucking kill every one of us.
That's the weird thing with like Russia and North Korea. Maybe not China, but they're really still like artillery based.
Yeah.
They don't have the air power. So it's funny. It's like, yeah, they got so much artillery, but like that seems like a problem the Air Force can solve in a day.
Yeah. Well, dude, so the rumor was, because we were so close, that
They could let it rip before you could do anything.
that they had 5 minutes worth of iron rain, which means like artillery hits every single point. Like you can't evade it.
Yeah.
It's literally rainfall, but with,
5
bombs.
minutes worth before planes get up in the air.
Yeah, so they had that, and so it's like when we would do drills every month of, hey, the North's attacking, and so it'd be 3 a.m. We have to wake up and do our bullshit. Like, dude, you said they have 5 minutes of killing all of us.
Yeah.
In the first minute, we'd all die if it's iron rain,
Right.
like we say it is.
Because
Why are we
exactly
doing
where
this?
your barracks is.
Yeah, they know everything. Like it's
Like they have you zeroed.
it's very simple to see, and that's just the artillery we can see from the surface, let alone what tunnels
Pops
they might
up
have had.
and- Yeah.
So all I knew about North Korea is that like if they attacked, I'd be dead, and
You'd be
there was
dead.
nothing I can do about it.
We'd win, but you're the pawn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
we would win, and then like the U.S. would go into the South and push north again, but we would all just be like we were a speed bump. We called ourselves a speed
Did you
bump.
ever dip a toe at the DMZ?
I went there once, and the funniest thing is that it was like the winter time, and there's just like their guards is like a South Korean guy in a karate gi with a black belt. It's 2 degrees outside, just holding a stance with sunglasses on. It's snowing. You don't need those.
Hey,
And then-
it gets bright. You get snow blindness.
And then a North Korean guy on the other side, also in a karate stance, staring back. And that was like, what the fuck? It's just 2 dudes freezing their asses off for like an hour, and they switch out.
That's pretty sweet, though.
So like we showed up, and then there's like the internal guards with like the checkpoint.
India and Pakistan do that as well, where they like
They do the stomping dances.
Yeah.
But these dudes just like stared at each other all day. And I was like, cool, there's the DMZ, I guess.
Do you think they become friends?
I hope so.
They have something in common that no one else does.
No. They find common ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But like maybe they develop like sign language.
Yeah, like a twitch here and there. It's like, hey, bro, you good? Yeah, I just ate 2 days ago.
So she travels around speaking a lot. As she gets to come back to the United States and speak to talk about like Russia and her autobiography and stuff like that, no anarchist politics allowed. In 1936, Berkman, her friend, lover, whatever, undergoes prostate gland operations. She receives a call in the middle of the night that Berkman's in great distress. She leaves for Nice, France. She's in France at this point. Leaves for Nice, France. But when she arrived in the morning, that she got a call that Berkman was in great distress. She goes feshgang, arrives in the morning, but she found that he had shot himself in the middle of the night.
Oh, fuck.
But he didn't do it right.
He was still alive?
So he
Go
was
through his mouth.
he was completely comatose and paralyzed.
He went through the bottom of his jaw, huh?
I guess so.
Fuck.
And he died later that night.
Yeah.
But he spent one last bad day on Earth.
Yep.
At least finish the job for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
pick
go,
it up and-
go temple. Go temple, back of the brain. Don't go through the mouth.
No. Temple all the way.
Bullets work in weird ways. Don't do it.
As the events
I
of
think
World
you
War
go through the dick. That's the way to do it.
You might bleed out.
The dick is the fastest way to the heart, they say.
Yeah.
You're gonna have no will to live anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You take that out.
As the events of World War II began to unfold in Europe, Goldman reiterated her opposition to wars waged by governments. She wrote, and this is really just illustrative of her beliefs in general, much as I loathe Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, and Franco, I would not support a war against them, for the democracies which would fight them in the last analysis are fascist, but only are fascist in disguise. So she's like, America and England aren't better than Russia, which I have literally said in the past is the worst country on earth. Germany, which is even fucking worse than Russia.
Right.
She's like, they're all bad. Fuck them all.
I hate that you gave this bitch a platform.
I think I'm exposing her.
Sounds like you kind of like her.
No, she sucks a lot. She suffered a stroke on May 8th, and she died 6 days later.
Fuck yeah.
In 1940 at the age of 70. The INS allowed her body to be brought back to the United States and buried there. And in one last act of fucking annoyingness, she was buried in Chicago near the graves of those executed after the Haymarket Affair because Goldman maintained about the Haymarket Affair, in which 7 cops were killed by a bomb thrown by a random person,
A hot guy.
that the real crime was not the bombing, but that the defendants were wrongly tried, according to her. Feels like they could both be crimes. They could both be bad. But she said that like the bombing wasn't actually the big deal in this situation.
What do you think a revolution looks like, Rob?
I think it's vibes, essays, grow up. Anyway, that's Emma Goldman, the high priestess of anarchy.
I want to flush this episode down the toilet.
Let's not air it.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
We just did an hour and change.
What'd you guys learn today?
Annoying bitches have always been around.
Yeah. That these people are like it really to the law. She had a lot of like self-pity throughout her life. Like truly, she was just like, oh, I just feel like I'm fighting for nothing, and oh, I just feel like nothing's gonna change, and oh, I'm such a victim. And I really go back to two things, which is A, you think that a bunch of people being killed wasn't that big of a deal, but B, more importantly, you tried to murder someone.
Yeah. I learned what I already kind of knew, that people, depending on their beliefs, will, become total monsters.
Yeah. Everything's justified.
To others that disagree with them.
Yeah, everything's justified if you think you're right. The anarchists were the ultimate, and socialists took this up later, communists in particular, but they're the ultimate ends justify the means. I mean, even Lenin was like, yeah, no, we have to. We have to be monsters. Otherwise, how can we not be monsters? How can we rid the world of monsters without being monsters?
Doesn't make any sense.
No. But I do think nuking Japan was right. So don't listen to me, honestly.
I learned being a victim your whole life, your life kind of sucks.
Dude, she had a shitty childhood, like, no doubt.
Just like hating everything and everyone doesn't turn out the best.
No. Raise your kids right.
Yeah.
Good kids don't think that terrorist bombings are sweet.
No.
Or try to murder someone via prostitution.
I learned that this bitch wasn't even like worthy of being a prostitute.
That was the funniest part of the whole thing to me, is that the first
Day
John was
one.
like, let me buy you a beer, babe. And then like sits her down and is like, you ain't it. You can't do this. You are not about this life.
I mean, okay, yeah. To be fair, her life did suck.
No, her
'Cause that
life
must
was
be
just
the worst, like morale, like degrading thing you can.
Horrible
possibly go
childhood.
through.
It kind of just sounds like she cosplayed her entire life.
She did. Absolutely. I mean, she was down to speak and then sent other people to do her shit for her.
But like when she got in the trenches and she was really like in that life, she never really did anything.
No.
She kind of like flipped the script, turned on it. I mean, went to Russia and was like, "Oh no, this isn't it either."
Yeah. What did you think anarchy was going to be? Like, fucking literally, what did you think anarchy was going to be?
Sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. You are actually...
Oh, fuck, this
I
sucks.
think maybe she was disturbed because she was actually looking at what anarchy is. Who's today's Hitler?
I want to blame her dad, but I'm going to just, the buck stops at her. You got to eventually kind of take responsibility for the person you become.
Yep. I agree with that because, again, you tried to murder someone, a guy who you just politically didn't agree with.
And it's certainly not this handsome fella.
No, that guy's
This guy rules.
that guy's today's Churchill.
I'd say it's her mom for her husband dying at 17 and never getting over it.
Yeah, just checking out.
Fucking grow up, dude.
Being like a shitty mom.
Yeah.
You know who actually should take responsibility is her first husband, whose dick didn't work.
That's
Because if he was just laying it down,
yep. This doesn't happen.
she doesn't get involved in this life.
Nope.
Fuck,
That's
that
what I
makes
was gonna
sense.
say. Today's Hitler is her first husband's dick.
She becomes probably like a trad wife.
If you lay it down
She
hard
flips
enough,
the whole script, dude.
Yeah. There's one tried and true road to trad wife.
And it's just laying pipe.
Yeah, I think that guy's dick works. Everything's different.
Yeah, that random guy doesn't. Frick, he doesn't get killed. Or, no, he
Stabbed.
survived.
He survived.
right?
He did survive.
He
Yeah,
survived it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just unnecessarily got shot and stabbed.
My heroes of today's episode are the workers who the guy turned back to and was like, "I did it." And they just beat the fuck out of him.
And he didn't do it.
He didn't do it.
Yeah.
Frick survived.
He was like, "Right, guys, are you happy?"
I hope Frick got like a lick on this dude.
Same. I hope like he's like the guys. So they beat Berkman unconscious.
Like he pulls the knife out of his fucking leg and just
Sticks it in
stabs it
Berkman's.
into
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
That's why that is actually that and her like the first John being like, "Baby, you can't do this," are my two heroes of the episode. The workers and the guy who's like, "You ain't
cut for this.
you ain't cut for this at all." I saw you reading a book, and that's not what you do on a street corner. But that's all I got for this week. Hope you enjoyed our episode.
Scott, thanks as
Yeah,
always.
Thank you guys.
For Dan Regester and Scott Lopez, I'm Rob Fox.
You just got soft served.